But it wasn't the position that made Joseph, it was his character. Okay, all right, come here, let me help you. God saw something embedded in him, and that's why he gave him the position. Okay, come here, let me help somebody some more. Pastoring is what I do, but it is not who I am. Okay, let me help somebody. My identity is not in my position. Because if that were the case, if I were no longer a pastor, it means that I would not know who I am. I am Dwayne Lawrence Jr. Fraser. That's who I am. And we've got to reach a place where we separate the person from the position. And now I understand why church people get upset when they're not re-elected for a position. Because the position validates who they are. Jesus, I'm hurting. But understand that the position does not make me who I am. My identity is not found in being a board member. Oh, y'all don't want to be church today. Can I preach? I know I've been away, but I'm going to preach. The position does not make me who I am. Being a board member does not make me who I am. My identity does not come from being a pastor. My identity does not come from being a church elder. My identity is found in Jesus. In Jesus Christ. And so that's why I don't need validation from my position, because I know who I am in Jesus Christ. I am the head and not the tail. I am above and not beneath. I am a child of the King, bought with a price. Royalty flows through my veins. I'm not just anybody, but I'm somebody, because Jesus died to save a wretch like me. I am a child of God. Sometimes we allow positions to define us. And when we don't get that position back, it is as if we have lost everything. I remember a story of an elder in the islands. While I was growing up, there was an elder there for 30 years. And that's why sometimes, I'm going to say it, I'm going there. That's why sometimes we have to be careful not to allow one person to occupy an office for too long. I'm going there today. Because sometimes they feel that they own the position. This elder was there for 30 years, and the church made the mistake of not putting him back. Anyways, he was there. You know how it is, the nominating committee report. So just imagine Sister Ivis coming up. You know how Sister Ivis is. Sister Ivis says, well, we're going to read the nominating committee report today. And it's a small church, so they didn't put it on any screen. It wasn't like, they called it out. So, read the names, and the elder, you know, when we have question, you know, when we want to send the report back. So when the elder did not hear his name, the elder said, there must be a mistake. The church said, no, we've decided to select another elder. And so the elder said, all right, if that's how you want it, that's how it will be. So the church thought that that was the end of it. Until one day they came to church, and the church was now in darkness. So everybody was wondering what was happening, Sister Elaine. Well, apparently, are you listening, church? Yeah, I know you guys love these stories. I'll have a drink. Apparently, the elder lived right beside the house. And for all these years, he put the church's electricity. He connected to his house. So when the church decided that he was not going to be the first elder, he went up onto his roof and disconnected it. Just because he wasn't, Brother Junior, the first elder, the position got to him. But how many of y'all know that even though you may disconnect the light, Jesus is still the light of the world? And he will never allow his church to be in darkness, because this church is not built on any one person, any family, any creed, any nation. It is built upon Jesus Christ, and the gates of hell will never be able to prevail against it. So the brothers were so caught up with the position that it motivated them to say, let's throw him in a pit. Because by throwing Joseph in the pit, it would secure their positions. Isn't it just amazing to see the length that people are willing to go in order to keep their position? Y'all don't want to hear me today, but people will throw you in a pit if they have to, just to keep their positions. People will put you down literally if they have to, just to keep their positions. People will conspire with other people just to keep you in your positions. But God's children don't have to worry, because the righteous man's steps are ordered by God. I'm in the text because Joseph's brothers wanted to throw him in the pit. And the sad thing about this situation is that the story will stick because of who placed you in the pit. Well, what do you mean, preacher? What do you mean? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Let's look at the text. The Bible says that after they threw him in the pit, the brothers went home and told their father that they found Joseph's coat covered in blood. Now notice that when Jacob hears the story, there is no suspicion. No suspicions are raised. No questions were really asked, simply because of who carried the message. He didn't expect that Joseph's own brothers would tell such a serious lie. After all, Joseph was their brother and they were his sons. But sometimes those who do the most damage to us are the people we least expect it from. Sometimes the most hurt doesn't always come from the outside, but it comes from the inside. Sometimes the hurt and the harm doesn't always come from your enemies, but it sometimes comes from your very own friends. But the good news today is that even though they meant it for evil, God can turn it into good. And you've got to use those stumbling blocks as stepping stones. And you've got to keep on climbing. I heard somebody say, I'm pressing on the upward way. And new heights I'm gaining every day. No matter what you do, keep on pressing. So the brothers are in Dothan. They see their brother coming. The brothers, let me just say this, the brothers traveled approximately 20 to 22 hours to get to Dothan, to care for their sheep. And while that shows you something, that shows you that they have an interest in their sheep. Because it's not as if they could have taken the train, they drove out there, they walked for 20 hours to get to Dothan. Follow my line of reasoning. They're taking care, they love their sheep. They're taking care of their sheep. And while they're doing that, They're plotting to kill their brother. Okay, all right. You'll get it in a minute. They're shepherding the flock, but they are planning to kill their brother. Okay? Shepherding the sheep in biblical times meant that you had to be caring and nurturing. It meant that you would have to exhibit and exude some form of patience and long suffering. Shepherds would have to walk with a little olive oil just in case their sheep got hurt. They would rub them. That's why the text says, "Thou anointest my head with oil." The shepherds would carry their sheep across the water if the sheep could not make it. And you would think that being involved in this kind of ministry would help to shape the way that the boys would think. But there is a disconnect. You see, it was okay for the boys to shepherd their sheep in public and at the same time plot to kill their brother in private. There was a disconnect. Maybe that's why some people have left the church, because they see a disconnect. They see us doing one thing, but hear us doing something evil tomorrow. There is a disconnect. But hear me, somebody. Being engaged in ministry is meaningless if it doesn't change you. Yes, he's called us to care for the sheep, but he's called us to save us as well. But in all of this, God had a plan for Joseph. When the brothers saw him coming, the text says that one of them said, "Let's kill him and throw him." Oh, this is beautiful. In verse 20, the text says, one of the brothers said, when they saw him coming, "Let's kill him and throw him in some pit." But verse 22 says that Reuben says, "Let's not kill him, let's throw him in this pit." There is a difference between some pits and this pit. You see, some pits will kill you, but this pit has been prepared for you. What is the difference between some pits and this pit? You see, back in biblical time, pits were filled with serpents and scorpions and water. That's why in verse 24 of the text, the Bible says that when they threw Joseph into the pit was empty. Because Reuben had a plan. Understand that if Reuben allowed the brothers to throw Joseph in some random pit, then Joseph would have probably died by the various elements. But Reuben knows that he plans he needs Joseph to be alive, because he was planning to get Joseph out in the future. So Reuben says, church, he selects a particular pit that he knows Joseph can handle. Oh, I don't know who I'm preaching to today, but you don't have to worry about this pit. You can handle it, because God made sure that he canceled the enemy's plan to wipe you out in that pit. This pit, don't worry how dark and dreary the pit may be. Be not dismayed. Whate'er be the tide, God will take care of you. This pit is not the end. It is the beginning of the best days of your life. And that's why I sing, church. I sing because I'm happy. And I sing because I'm free. I'm singing because I know that God has my back. But here's the best part.